Hello and welcome. This is Bijan Hushiar. One of the core components of this topology is a 2911 Cisco router that has three interfaces. Interface G00 is connected to network 0, interface G01 is connected to network 1, and interface G02 is connected to network 2. We are going to configure this router as DHCP server for network 0. Another core component in this topology is the DHCP server 1.2, which we are going to configure as a DHCP server for both network 1 and network 2. Since the DHCP server is in network 1, the clients in network 2 cannot directly communicate with it because routers block broadcast. Therefore, we need to configure G02 of the router as relay agent for direct communication between clients in network 2 and their DHCP server. First, let's go ahead and configure a router for a DHCP server of network 0. We go to privilege mode and then global configuration mode. And in here, we are going to create a pool for network 0 with this command IP DHCP pool, and then name it anything that makes sense to you. In here, I'm going to use this name, pool-0. Then I'm going to add a valid range of IPv4 addresses to this pool to be listed out to the clients with this command, network 192.168.0.0 with the subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. I'm going to add the default gateway IP address for network 0 in here, so client can receive that from the DHCP server. The command is default dash router, and then the IP address of the default gateway 192.168.0.254. I'm going to assign this IP address to G00 because G00 is the default gateway for this network. We'll do that in a second. Let's exit from this one. We don't want all the IPv4 addresses that exist in that range to be listed out. We want to exclude some of them because we need to assign static IPv4 addresses to servers and default gateway and so on and so forth. So I'm going to exclude about a handful of them not to be listed out to the client with this command, IP DHCP excluded dash address 192.168.0.250 IPv4 starting from 250 in the last octet to 192.168.0.254. I'm going to exclude those IPv4 addresses not to be listed out to the clients. Then I'm going to access the interface G00. I'm going to assign IP address of 192.168.0.254 that we told DHCP server it is the default gateway address to this interface 255.255.255.0, and I'm going to turn the interface on, no shot. Let's go to PC0. After this slide is green, the link will be up. and then we can go ahead and see if PC0 is going to receive IP addressing from the DHCP server, in this case, the router. The link is up. Yes, it received the first IP address of the range with the subnet mask that we configured on the DHCP server pool, and also it has received the default gateway, which is the IP address of G00. That side is done. Now I'm going to go ahead and configure G01 of the router with an IPv4 address from this range, the last one I'm going to assign. So I'm going to exit to global configuration mode, interface G01, IP address 192.168.1.255.255.255.255.0. Let me double check to see if it is okay. Seems like it. No shot. Then I'm going to go ahead and start configuring the DHCP server 1.2 first by assigning an IP address to it. And the IP address that I'm going to assign to this one is 192.168.1.253 with this subnet mask and with this default gateway IP address, which is 192.168.1.254. That's the IP address that we assigned to G00 of the, I'm sorry, to G01 of the router. So the router, the DHCP server 1.2 has an IP address right now. Then we click on services. After we click on the PC or server, then services, we select DHCP in here. We make sure the service is on. As you notice, a pool has already been created. As soon as I configure the IP address on that server, a pool is created with the name of server pool, which I cannot change. It includes the IP address. It doesn't include the default gateway. So I'm going to type the default gateway IP address in here for this pool, 192.168.1.254. I'm going to add it. I'm sorry, I'm going to save it to this one. Add will create a new pool for me, which I have to do that for network 2. The maximum number of users, 256, too much. I'm going to make it 50. Okay. And don't worry about WLC and TFTP server. Those are related to this one is related to wireless, which is a device that controls access points, and we don't care about TFTP server at all. So a starting IP address that is going to be listed out, I can indicate in here. Start from 10. Okay. Again, save. Can I exclude anything in here? It doesn't have that option to exclude anything on the packet tracer. So the service is on, default gateway is configured. DNS server, if I want an IP address for DNS server to be assigned, I can do that in here. We don't have a DNS server in our system right now, but I could add the IPv4 address of the DNS server in here. DHCP and DNS server for clients wouldn't work in packet tracer, so I avoid that. Everything is saved. Default gateway, the starting IP address, the subnet mask of the IP addresses are going to be listed out, maximum number of the clients that can receive IPv4 address 50. This side is done. Let's go ahead and check to see if PC1 is going to receive any IPv4 addressing from the DHCP server. Yes, it received the first one, 192.168.110, with that subnet mask with the correct default gateway. For network 2, we need to create another pool on DHCP server. Let's do that while we are in here. Let's go back to the services, DHCP server, and in here I'm going to add this network starting 20. I'm telling the DHCP server that I'm going to create a new pool, and I'm going to call it pool-2, which has this default gateway. Starting IP addresses that can be listed out would be 192.168.250, 2.20, and 50 is the maximum number of the IP addresses that can be listed out to that to the clients in that network. Instead of 50, I make it 10. And then this time I add a second pool is added. The second pool is called pool-2. The default gateway of it is different from the default gateway of server pool for network 1. A starting IP address of it is a different network address. Subnet masks happen to be the same because they are all class C network addresses. Maximum number of users for pool 2 is 10. So this IP address I have to assign to G02 of the router because it is acting as default gateway for network 2. Let's go to the router and configure that. We go back to global configuration mode, access interface G02, and assign IP address 192.168.2.254, 255.255.255.0, no shut. Some may think the configuration is done and this device in network 2 should be able to receive IPv4 address from the DHCP server. Let's see if it is going to receive IPv4 address, and if it does not, then we are going to attempt to fix the issue. So let's wait for this light to come up. After that light is turned on, the link will be up. Here you go. We go to desktop. No IP address is going to be received. If it receives DHCP IP address, it will be API-PA IP address, which is a link local address. That's not what we configured. The reason is because DHCP version 4 is broadcast based. Broadcast from this PC do not get to that DHCP server because router blocks broadcast. In order to allow communication between the PC2 and DHCP server 1.2 occurs, we need to configure a relay agent on router 2 on G02 of it. So we'll go back to the router. We are in G02. The relay agent command, to configure relay agent, the command is this: IP helper dash address followed by the actual IP address of the DHCP server, which is 192.168.1.253. That is configured. Now let's give it a few seconds and then test the PC2 to see if it is going to receive any correct IP address. Here you go, from pool 2, and correct subnet mask and correct default gateway. And the final test is to see if there is communication between these PCs. The IP address assigned to this PC is 220. Let's go to PC1 and see if we can ping it. Ping 192.168.2.20. The first couple of echoes may be lost. That's okay. If we receive reply back, communication is there. Let's go ahead and test communication between PC1 and PC0. For the IP address DHCP server assigned to PC0, 192.168.0.1. Let's see if we can ping PC0 from PC1. Ping 192.168.0.1. We'll wait for replies to come back. There may be one or two of those replies being lost at the beginning. That's fine. The other test that we want to perform, since both of these two PCs can communicate with PC1, we need to check communication between PC0 and PC2. I'll go to PC0 and ping PC2, ping 192.168.220 wasn't it? There you go. Reply is coming back. DHCP configuration is done correctly. End-to-end connectivity exists. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video and you found it informative, please don't forget to recommend it to others who may be interested. Thank you.